In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to join more than two tables when writing a query. For example, back to our SQL Store database, look at the orders table. Now you know how to write a query to join this table with the customers table to return information about the customer who placed each order. But here we also have another column, status, which is similar to the customer ID column. So the name of the statuses are not stored in this table. They're somewhere else in the order statuses table. Let's have a quick look here. So our orders can be either processed, shipped, or delivered. And these are the identifiers for each of these statuses. Now back to our orders table, in the status column, we store the order status ID. So now we should write a query to join the orders table with two tables, the customers table and order statuses table. The result of this query is going to look like this. So for each order, we see the order ID, the date, the first and last name of the customer, and finally the status of the order. This is a beautiful report we can create for our users. So let me show you how to write this query. Back to our query editor, first we need to select the SQL Store database. Now we need to select everything from the orders table. Let's give it an alias. Next, we need to join this with the customers table. On o.customer ID should be equal to c.customer ID. Nothing new so far, exactly like before. Now here we can write another join keyword to join the orders table with order statuses table. So we type out order statuses, and also we give it an alias like OS. What is our join condition? Well, back in the orders table, here we have this status column. So the value in this column should be equal to the order status ID column in order statuses table, right? So back to the query. So orders table dot status should be equal to order statuses dot order status ID. Make sure to get the name right. Don't have a typo. Otherwise, you're going to get an error. So this is how we can join three tables. Now, in the real world, as you work on more complex problems, you will end up joining even 10 tables. So this is not uncommon in the SQL world. Now let's go ahead and execute this query. First, we get the columns from the orders table, followed by the columns from the customers table, and so on. This result is so complex and hard to extract information from. So let's explicitly select a few columns here. From the orders table, we want to select the order ID column, as well as the order date. Then from the customers table, we want to select the first name and the last name. And finally, from the order statuses table, we want to select the name column. Now we can give this an alias like status. That's better. Let's execute the query one more time. So here's the end result. We have order ID, order date, the name of the customer, followed by the status of the order. All right, for your exercise, take a look at this SQL invoicing database. Here we have this table, payments, and these are the payments that each client has made towards a given invoice. Let's take a look at the data. So we have these columns, like client ID, that identifies the client. So we can join this table with the client's table to see the name of the clients. Next, we have invoice ID. We also have date, amount, and payment method. So similarly, we can join this table with the payment methods table here. Let's have a look at the data in this table. These are the payment methods: credit card, cash, PayPal, and wire transfer. So back to the payments table, I want you to write a query and join this table with the payment methods table as well as the clients table. Produce a report that shows the payments with more details, such as the name of the client and the payment method. All right, first we need to use the SQL invoicing database. Now we can select everything from the payments table, which we call P. Next, we need to join this with the client table, which we call C. On p.clientid should be equal to c.clientid. Let me double check the column name to make sure I got it right. So back to the payments table, the column is called client ID. We also have a column called payment method that we should join to the payment method ID column of the payment methods table. So back to the query. Once again, we use a join statement here. Join with payment methods. We give it an alias, PM, on p.payment underline method should be equal to pm.payment method ID. Make sure to type it out correctly, otherwise you're going to get an error. So let's go ahead and execute the query up to this point. There you go. Finally, let's handpick the columns that make the most sense. So from the payments table, let's select a date, followed by invoice ID. What else do we have here? So we have client ID, invoice ID, date, amount, and payment method. I'm going to pick the amount column from here as well. So back to the query, p.amount. Now we need to add information about the client. Let's take a look at this table, clients. So here we have columns like name, address, city, and so on. All we need here is the name column. So back to the query. From the clients table, let's select the name column. And finally, from the payment method table, let's select, what is that column called? It's called name. So back to the query, pm.name. So here's the end result. Now we can put these columns in any order that we want. It doesn't really matter. Let's execute the query and make sure everything works. So on this date, for this invoice, we have a payment for this amount by this client using a credit card.